Have you ever stopped to think about the power that a single image can have on our emotions and our memories? A photo that captures a special moment in our life, a family gathering, a celebration, or even a daily routine. You can hide the stories that have never been fully told. And at the same time, these stories are hidden in the details of what seem to be small, but it carries a heavy burden. Picture the scene, a room full of people, all sitting together, chatting, laughing, and sharing moments of joy. And then, in the midst of all of that, and an empty chair. A chair that seems out of place, which draws the attention of the one who observes it. This is a chair. At its apparent simplicity, you reveal a story that goes far beyond what we could ever imagine. It may seem to be a common sight. There is a picture of the family, like so many others, but it keeps a history of exclusion, and in the silence, an absence which is more than the words. Have you ever gone through something like that? Maybe it's a memory of a time when you were left out, or someone who, for one reason or another, they were invited to be a part of such a celebration. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now. You will be surprised. This story is not only about the empty chair, but also about what that represents in the lives of those who went away, about the warning signs that it's often ignored and which carry the pain silently. And as we reflect on this, we can understand the simple actions of our day-to-day use, the importance to embrace and cherish each and every person, especially those who too often remain invisible from the inside out. So, get ready to immerse yourself in a story that reveals so much more than just a photograph, a story that invites us to look beyond the obvious and question what it really means, inclusion and belonging. Because deep down, every empty seat is a story that deserves to be heard. If you can identify with the story, or have already gone through times that of a single image that stirred up deep emotions, leave in the comments what you played so far. Your experience can help others to look beyond what is on the surface, thus creating a true connection and empathy with those who are also seeking to understand the meaning of inclusion and respect. Enjoy video. It's a way to build the community of people who believe in the power of stories, the exchange of ideas, and it is very important to spread this message around. When you subscribe to the channel, it shows your desire to continue with this content, is that it seeks to open the eyes and hearts of promoting a process of reflection, which, very often, it's the first step to real change. Your participation is what makes this space to grow, making them a great source of inspiration for others who want to change their perceptions and attitudes. So please feel free to share it with you with their opinions, feelings, and experiences that are relevant to what we are discussing. And so, together, we can build a community and becoming more and more aware and welcoming, because each and every comment, and every gesture of support to strengthen our learning journey. And the best part is yet to come. It is because of this history. It still has many of the chapters in order to be successful. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because a lot of times we are taking a superficial view of our own making. The truth is hidden behind our choices is that most of the time they are shaped by the patterns seen, the beliefs held, and a mindset that has been built up over the course of a year, many times without our realization. This influence is quiet. It's like a chain that binds us to the cycle of repetitive behaviors, making it difficult for the true transformation that you have been searching for. When we study the impact of the invisible, everything is changed. We find that the real power lies in our ability to question, to investigate what really drives us, and to challenge the things that we were taught as absolute truth. This is a journey of self-discovery. It is, in essence, an internal revolution, a movement that will lead you to a much deeper connection with what we really are, beyond the masks, which we use to fit in society, or to please other people. When we think about our decision-making, it is important to recognize that they do not occur in isolation or in random. For each choice, as small as it may seem, it carries a weight that influences the whole of our experience. And a lot of times, the influence that comes from the impact of past experiences, for the stories that are told by authority figures, or even in a culture that, even without meaning to be, that wraps up our perceptions of success and failure, happiness and fulfillment. These roots are invisible. They can take us to the path of the autosabotagism or other accommodation, and if we are not careful. The key to breaking this cycle is a sort of wake up to the conscious, the guts to confront those truths that are hidden. And the rebuilding of our narrative is based on the values that truly resonate with who we are of the truth. From this understanding, everything is changed. To our way of thinking is no longer only as a consequence of external circumstances, and it turns out to be a very powerful tool of creation. When we begin to see beyond the obvious, we realize that our decisions are guided by a new vision. One's emotional intelligence is more developed, and a genuine desire to improve. It is at this point in the journey is more interesting, because you begin to realize that change is not something that happens overnight, but rather is an ongoing process of discovery and adjustment. With every step, however small it may seem, contributes to the creation of a new reality, a reality in which freedom to choose is greater than that of any conditioning of the old one. The impact of this change will go far beyond our own lives. When we let go of these limitations, are built in, have an effect on the environment around us in a way that is subtle but powerful. Our actions will reflect an authenticity that inspires inspires others to do the same questions of their own truth. In this way, on this journey of self-discovery, it becomes a chain of revelation and a revolution of quiet. It starts within each and every one of us, but that has been spreading throughout the community. It's as if we're breaking down a layer of self-deception that has been imposed upon, paving the way for a new understanding of what really matters, and the impact that we can make, and the choices that shape your destiny. To explore these scenes in our mind, we see that the change is a matter of choice, but also of courage. We need to go beyond the fear to face our own shadow, and to embrace the possibility of a more aware, more in tune with our deepest values. And at this point, we begin to understand that there is a magical formula, but rather a combination of the attitude, persistence, and a genuine desire to improve. Every day is a chance to rewrite our history, and how to reprogram our mindset and to construct a positive impact, not only our lives, but that of those around us. And so, we go forward, knowing that each and every insight, every revelation, it is a very important part in the journey of transformation that we are living in. Because deep down, what really matters is that the constant search for a better version of ourselves, one that doesn't let himself be carried away by the old vices of the past, but they choose to, every day, to build a future that is more authentic and full of purpose. And it is precisely this connection to a higher purpose that gives us the strength to go on, even when the obstacles seem bigger than you can handle. After all, it is the real change starts in our mind, and that's where everything is decided, the courage to change your own truth, and to accept that the journey is just as important as the final destination. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because they understand that connection with your higher purpose is how to unlock it with a key which reveals to us the true impact of our decisions on our own history. Many times we get stuck in a routine, the routine of daily life, without even realizing that each and every choice we make is a critical piece in the puzzle of our transformation. And in this piece, as small as it may seem to you, it has the power to change the course of everything, from the open door, which until then seemed to be closed, and to create opportunities that were previously invisible in front of our eyes. When we begin to understand that our way of thinking is a catalyst of this change, all change of perspective, it is as though, all of a sudden, our vision is to become the lighter, allowing you to see what the obstacles are. Not necessarily the walls will never be removed, but the challenges can be overcome with the right attitude. This is a change of mentality. It is a real revolution in the internal journey of self-discovery, where we found out that we are stronger than we imagined, and that our limitations are often created on the limiting beliefs that have built up over the years, often without realizing it. The transformation is, in a sense, it is simply a matter of effort on the external, but rather a process of internal revolution, a reinvention, which begins in the mind. And that's exactly where most people go wrong, because of the temptation to stay in your comfort zone is great. It is easier to accept the routine run away from the fear of failure, or to appear to be vulnerable than to face your own truth and to make the necessary adjustments. But who really wants to lasting change? You need to understand what it is about having the courage to face these truths, the more uncomfortable it will be. In this quest, it is also important to understand that the decisions we make have a direct impact on our processing. Each of the small, select it from the way you talk about it with us to the actions we take in the face of difficulty. It builds on the course we are pursuing. And this is not linear. Rather, it is full of ups and downs, the successes, and lessons learned. The more aware we are of our making, the more aligned we are with our true purpose, and that the alignment is the one that gives meaning to the journey. But there was something else, which is often hidden behind the scenes of this journey. The truth is hidden where few are willing to reveal. The truth is that the greatest transformation happens when we are able to see beyond the surface, when we find out the layers, the deepest of our being. And for that, you have to have the courage to face the one that is most real in the US, as well as those are the emotions that we feel ashamed to admit it, or the fear that we would prefer to conceal. It is in the process of self-discovery that we find the strength to move forward with more clarity and determination, knowing that every step forward in this direction, it is a victory of our own limitations. When you think about all of this, we realize that the connection between the purpose, mindset, and decision-making, a web powerful, able to transform not only our lives, but also have an impact on the people around you. After all, when we change on the inside, these changes are reflected in our actions and the impact they have caused in the world. This is a real revolution in the silence. It starts in the mind and it spreads to all aspects of your everyday life. And, in the process, each discovery, each revelation, brings us to a deeper level of understanding of who we are, of the truth about what they really want, and what you are willing to make in order to achieve this version is the most authentic selves. For this reason, it is crucial to understand that the journey of transformation that is ongoing, a type of the eternal cycle of evolution. Each and every step that we take in preparing for the next one, where every decision can teach us something new, each and every moment of auto-question, meant to us closer to our true reason why. And along the way, we fail to realize that the courage to look within, to take our own truth, and to make choices that are aligned with our higher purpose, this is the one that really has made all the difference. Because deep down, for the transformation happens when we get together. These elements create a new narrative for our lives, a story based on authenticity and courage, and in the constant search for progress. And in the meantime, it is a reflection of how many times you may have failed to make a choice out of fear of change, or because of a belief that it was not up to the task. Perhaps this is the time to question. This is to make room for a new you to emerge. After all, it is the real journey of transformation. It is not a final destination, but an invitation for the journal to grow, to learn, and to reconnect with what really matters to you. And in this connection, when it is strengthened, it is a never-failing source of strength and inspiration to carry on, even when the way seems too hard to do. Because at the end of the day, what really makes the difference is the courage to continue, to move forward, to believe that change is possible, and what is the impact of that is going far beyond what we could ever imagine. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely in this layer is to recognize that many people are lost, and where the processing is of the most powerful way. To many people, it speaks so much of the power, the strength, the stamina, but a little deeper into what truly holds it all, the mind. And I'm not talking about a mindset, but the one who is able to see beyond what is visible at the current time, which is able to connect with the truth that is hidden, almost like an internal compass that always points you in the right direction, even when everything around you seems to fall apart. The essence of such a mentality, it's a sort of emotional resilience, which is born out of the understanding of all the obstacles, pain, and failures are all part of the learning process. It's as if, instead of seeing the difficulty as something that secures or restricts, have to interpret it as a key player in the construction of the impact. This change in perspective, it is a real revolution in the homeland, because it turns what was once a barrier into an opportunity for growth. And it doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey of self-discovery, where, at each step, we will discover the deeper layers of the self, revealing the truths that were hidden beneath the surface of what we believe to be our limit. The transformation is, in a sense, it happens when we choose to question our own decisions, our own deeply held beliefs. The patterns, they look so natural, in fact, are the constructs, which can break down at any moment. It is a process of deconstruction and reconstruction of a continuous one, where the courage to face your own shadow becomes the fuel that is more powerful. Because deep down, every decision we make is of the seed of the impact is in our lives and in the lives of those around you, or in the society as a whole. And this awareness leads to a greater responsibility. A selection of the most attention is the one that you really want to leave a legacy. When you understand that every action, however small it may seem, the echo in the direction of a bigger change, you start to see behind the scenes of our journey. For the first time, they see that impact does not come only from the great achievements or moments of success, but there is an understanding that it's all part of a cycle of development. And in this phase, the truth concealed is that our greatest strength comes from the alignment of what we think, what we know, and what we do. When these elements are in harmony, then nothing can stop us, because we went to work with an unsettling conviction, nurtured by a spirit of true transformation. Many times, this is the change in internal, requires us to leave behind what no longer serves you the most. That is the cutting of ties with the thoughts of barriers, and to open up space for new possibilities. It's like a scavenger from the outside to the inside, where it is the courage to let go of the old and the familiar gives way to the new, the unknown, and that is exactly where the magic happens. And in the process of the revelation comes in the form of insights, from the small epiphanies that will transform our view of the world, and we connect them with a larger force, which does not depend on outside circumstances, but rather the power of decision-making, and our faith in something other than what we can see. For this reason, the impact of a change goes far beyond the results of the surface. It unlocks a chain of actions, which, little by little, go to the creating a whole new reality, a new version of yourself. And this new version is able to inspire other people, and to spread the energy of the changeover. When we understand that everything is connected, our decisions, our emotions, our actions, and behind the scenes visible from the inside, we realize that the journey is never just about to get there, but it's about who you become on the way. And that is the true essence of the impact of what we don't want to, that which is born of the inside of a mindset, strong, and of a truth, the interior revealed, and a heart that will never run out of power. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this subject. Because of this connection, the invisible, between what we believe and what we do, it's like a chain that moves around the sun house. And when you understand this, you begin to look at each decision as an act of creation, and the opportunity to strengthen the school, to reinforce the truth, and the positive impact on the world around us. For each choice, as small as it may seem to you, it becomes a very important part in the construction of a new reality, where the impact is not something that is external, but is a natural consequence of a mentality that is transformed into a journey of self-discovery that never ends. It is then that we realize that the real strength is the courage to continue to explore the behind the scenes on the within, and uncover the hidden strength that you have always been there, waiting for the right moment to show itself. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that we begin to understand that true transformation comes not from from a change in the surface or to take specific action, but to the application of internal, in change of the mindset that influences each and every decision you make. Every thought is fed every emotion, which allow us to control them all. So, at this point, we see the impact that we are looking at the outside world. It is, in fact, a reflection of what we cultivate within us all. It's as if our mind to be a mirror that reflects the whole of our journey, our story of self-discovery, and much more. We take care of that power, the more clear it is that it really doesn't matter. In the quest for a more in-depth understanding, we can begin to understand the hidden truths are often hidden in the details that we ignore or downplay. Small daily choices, attitudes, and seem to be small, but they have accumulated over time. It has the power to shape our own destiny. It is here that we discover the courage to confront our own personal limits. This is the one that really makes it stand out. After all, to transform it requires more than just willpower. It requires a willingness to face up to the fact that a lot of times we would prefer to conceal, to face the things that are challenging us to take up the path of self-development. It is also available in the hard times, the doubts, the insecurities. And this is where it comes to the question of the impact, and that it is not something that is external, and it turns out to be a natural extension of the mindset that reinforces each made a conscious decision. When you come to know that we are in the main responsible for the course of the journey, it all gets a whole new perspective. Each hurdle, no matter how hard it seems, is seen as an opportunity for growth, a lesson that compels us to evolve. It's as if the life is in the hand of a kind of writing in secret, where each match is a one piece that can be attached to the story, which reveals a stronger, more secure, more in tune with who we really are. And at the same time, their journey leads us to explore the behind the scenes of itself, and oftentimes have we repressed emotions, limiting beliefs and patterns that you did not even knew that carregávamos. Find out the layers, and the deeper it's like opening a treasure chest, old and full of the relics, which, if well taken care of, you can completely transform our view of the world. And it is not an easy task. It requires courage, patience, and a genuine desire to get to know. But when we are able to see beyond the surface, it all starts to make sense. The internal conflicts are no longer barriers, and they become allies in our evolution, because to deal with them, we continue to strengthen and to develop a new mindset, more resilient, more empathetic, more in line with the higher purpose of our existence. When you realize that the connection between the internal and the external effect is clear, that the real revolution starts within each and every one of us. Each and every decision, however small it may seem, the echo in our journey to shape who we are and who we can become. And in the process, we see that the change is not something that happens at one time or another, but in a construction site daily, with a conscious decision to look within, to reinvent yourself, to challenge your own limitations. It is a journey that requires persistence, but it also shows, step by step, a force of perhaps we had never imagined they would be. And thus, to explore the behind the scenes of your own, we can begin to unravel the revelations, the most significant of our lives, that the real power lies in its ability to transform our way of thinking and to choose our own emotions, and create a positive impact that reverberates beyond ourselves. Every little movement, every thought, which is aligned with the truth of what we have discovered, it becomes the seed for change, to grow, transform the whole of human history. And that transformation, which seemed to be far away or out of reach, it is now a tangible reality, is built step by step, and with the courage, the determination, and a renewed faith in the journey itself. And at the same time, we realize that this is a journey of self-discovery never ends, because there are always new horizons, exploring new hidden truths that are waiting to be revealed, with the new boundaries are being crossed. And it is in this phase of evolution we have found the very essence of the long-term impact. Because deep down, it all comes down to what we decide to cultivate it within ourselves, when we choose to nourish our soul, and to the decisions we make along the way. And when you do that with awareness, we begin to live in a transformation that is, in fact, it's a great message, but very powerful, capable of changing the world around us, starting from within. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't happen all of a sudden. It is built day by day, decision by decision, in a kind of a journey. The silent often goes unnoticed in the eyes of those who still do not understand the power that lies in our own mindset. It's as if every choice, every thought, and it was like a seed planted in fertile soil, which, over time, creates the fruit of authenticity, is more solid than ever. And these are the fruits, in turn, have the potential to impact not only our lives, but also the lives around us, creating a chain of influence that extends well beyond what we can imagine. The thing that really makes the difference in this case is the courage to face the truth hidden, they often prefer to ignore. This really can be our own insecurities, fear of failure, or resistance to the changes that are needed. When you start to realize that these internal barriers are, in fact, calls disguised as a growing deeper, it starts to change. It is as though, all of a sudden, our minds are open to a new perspective, a better understanding of who we are and what we are capable of achieving. This shift in perception is what we call a wake-up call, that moment when the masks are dropped, and the authenticity appears to be a more intense way, revealing what lies behind behind the layers of conditioning that we have as a child. And it's this authenticity is the foundation of true freedom. When one is freed from the restraints imposed by fear or doubt, we act with a more lightly on the planet, with more connection to what truly matters to you. Since then, our choices are no longer the impulses of the moment, and if you make more informed choices that align with our inner selves more fully, it is at this point that we realize that the impact of the small, everyday actions that seem insignificant at first glance, but that is to be cultivated with intention and authenticity, you have the power to create a revolution in the quiet, in all of us. This is a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Often it requires courage to challenge the status quo, to question what we have been taught to seek for a new way of looking at life. It's not about to give up everything all at once, but to adjust the focus, to move from learning to listen to our intuition, and to understand that, often, the biggest obstacle that is in your own head. It's a matter of mindset, to realize that true strength comes from the recognition that we are responsible for shaping our reality. This awareness is what allows you to make more informed decisions that are aligned with what we really, without getting carried away by the vintage patterns that no longer make sense in the journey of evolution. The most fascinating part of it is that when you make the choice to feed our soul with purpose and authenticity, we can begin to understand the impact of what we produce is not only external, but above all, built in. Peace, clarity, and confidence that you will emerge from this in connection with, the truth will begin to be reflected in the way we look at the challenges and the opportunities. This is the transformation that takes place from the inside out. It turns into a kind of domino effect, where they each made a conscious decision strengthened with a new mindset, a new version of ourselves. Thus, the silent revolution gathers pace, and all of a sudden, everything that seemed to be far away or out of reach, it becomes a tangible reality, a genuine expression of our full potential in more depth. From that point on, it all becomes a matter of concern. Because you are, in essence, there is not a finish ultimate, but it is a constantly evolving, on a constant quest to become the best version of yourself. And this is, in fact, it's a chance for you to discover new horizons, to explore the possibilities that before would have seemed impossible. It is in this expansion we find that the true impact of the change, it is not a one-off event, but a daily practice of self-care, courage, and self-esteem. And at the same time, it's an opportunity to impact the world around us. To create a string is to change that. Even if silent, you are able to change the reality in a way that no one can imagine. Whatever your starting point, it is the most important thing is to recognize that each and every decision, however small they may seem to you, it has the potential to open a new chapter in its history. A story in which you, the truth, of courage, and authenticity are the main protagonists. And then, over the course of the journey, it is becoming increasingly clear that the biggest impact we can make is the one that comes from the inside to the outside of a transformation. Although it's quiet, it's powerful enough to change everything around us. And so, with each step taken in the direction of the truth, brings us another step closer to a life filled with purpose and meaning, and where freedom is a big achievement and a daily build with awareness, courage, and self-esteem. He comments that it makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that, to understand the journey of transformation, that requires us to look beyond the actions of the surface and immerse yourself into the roots of who you really are, shaping who you are. Many of the times we believe that change is not something external. It's a matter of do or omit to do. But the truth is, it starts within us, in our decision-making, and intimate, our innermost thoughts, in the way that we interpret the world and ourselves. It is a process that requires a kind of courage to be silent, that which makes us confront our own boundaries and challenge the belief that, sometimes, you don't even realize that we have. The truth is hidden behind the transformation, which is currently on the understanding that it is not a destination, but a continuous journey, a constant change that requires the attention and commitment. This understanding leads us to reflect on how our daily choices, seemingly small, it has a cumulative impact that can transform our way of thinking, and therefore our reality. It's like a ladder, and each step reveals a new vision, a new layer of understanding about themselves and about what really matters to you. And at the same time, this journey, and reveals the decisions that we make before we are born, the ones that have been shaped by our experiences, our education, and even the unseen influences that come from the behind the scenes of our lives. To dive a little bit deeper, we realize that the true transformation requires a shift in paradigm, a kind of awakening to our own authenticity. Too often, we get stuck in a cycle of self-protecting and defending a version of ourselves that we believe to be the safe, but that is just limiting our potential. This comfort zone, for a more cozy as it may seem, it is the prison of the unseen, which prevents us to explore new possibilities and go beyond the ordinary, considers to be normal. And, in this respect, the courage to face the fear by questioning the old beliefs and to take the risks if you become the fuel that drives real change. In the process, we discover that the biggest battle is often the case in our head. The thoughts of saboteurs and the questions contained in, the emotions they seem to take it all adds up to, is a sort of a silent war for control of our narrative. When we're able to realize that this battle is internal, we can begin to understand that change starts with our mindset and the way we understand our own limitations and possibilities. And there you have it, everything that had seemed to be a barrier. It is a growth opportunity, a lesson that will strengthen us and prepare us for the next steps of our journey. And it is at this point that the signs are beginning to emerge more clearly. We have found that a lot of our decisions that impact is not a matter of luck or fate, but the choices that we make, conscious or unconscious, is often driven by their standards they don't even realize. To understand this dynamic, it is vital that we take control of our story, rather than just reacting to the circumstances. This revelation brings to light the fact that we, the architects of our own, the impact of our own, a transformation. And when you recognize this, we come to see, with more clarity, behind the scenes of our daily lives, and the factors are invisible. They shape our actions, and our dreams come true. A journey of self-discovery, therefore, is an opportunity to reveal the layers are hidden, to look beyond appearances and to connect with what really matters to you. When you can't do it, then the processing is no longer something foreign, and it becomes an internal experience and a deep connection to our purpose, the most genuine one. And then, when you make such a connection, you begin to realize that each and every decision, however small it may seem, it is a very important part in the building of a new life, more in tune with who we really are and who we want to be. Now, I want you to go even deeper on this subject, because in fact, a true revolution happens when we change our relationship with time. Many of the people who live prey to the illusion that time is the enemy, a something that escapes between the fingers, leading you to your dreams, though, even before being implemented. But the reality is that time is a powerful ally, with a tool that can be used to our advantage, since we have to learn to manage it with wisdom and awareness. This change in perspective is one of the biggest revelations in which you can do in our journey of evolution, because it frees us from the fear of losing, and it puts us in control of our own story. When you understand that time is a matter of priority, of the choices that we make each and every day, we come to realize our true transformation lies in our ability to align our actions with our values, what we believe to be important to you. And it is this deep connection to the present, the now, is the one that really has made all the difference. When we learn how to cherish each and every moment, each and every small step forward, every decision you make brings us one step ahead of the rest. We are changing our relationship with time is a source of power and motivation. In this scenario, the impact of our actions, and if you zoom in, on and at in our day-to-day, makes it a true work of art, an authentic expression of our true selves. With this understanding, in turn, leads us to understand that change is not something that happens in an hour or so to the other one, but with a solid construction, a series of small victories that is, as a whole, they create a new reality. And at the same time, it shows the importance of having a mindset of gratitude and appreciation for the way forward. In the end, each step, each and every obstacle you overcome, each of the questions tackled, it's all part of the process of evolution. And in it, we discover that our true freedom lies in the ability to choose how you respond to circumstances, to turn challenges into opportunities, and keep your faith in your ability to reinvent yourself. This broader perspective also helps us to understand that a lot of the time, the biggest change happens when we let go of the need to control everything all over the place. In the life, with its surprises and unexpected developments, however, teaches us that it is necessary to make room for the new, the unknown, and have to trust that by doing so, we are opening the door to possibilities that is not thought to be possible. This is one of the major revelations of the day, the freedom of letting go, of releasing that which no longer serves, so that something new can arise as a result of strength and clarity. In the end, this is more in-depth understanding, leads us to reflect on the impact we can make to inspire other people with our story of transformation. When we share our discoveries and our own internal battles and victories, we have a network that is invisible to connect, a chain of influence that is significant to the changes in those who follow. And in doing so, we realize that the true power of transformation lies in the ability to have a positive impact, creating a chain of development that goes beyond the boundaries of the individual and becomes a force for collective growth and hope. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth of it, is that the chain of influences that I mentioned, it does not come out of nowhere. It is being built with every conscious decision, and with each moment of vulnerability that we have decided to share it, and more importantly, the authenticity of what we put into everything we do. It is as if each and every one of us to be a very important part in this giant jigsaw puzzle, where's our history, our mistakes, and we learn all fit together to form a wider, more real. When we choose to open our doors to the world, to expose our feelings, our doubts, and our achievements are, in fact, by creating a bridge to a connection that goes beyond the surface. The bridge is made out of empathy, of understanding, and a genuine desire to help others, and also find their way around. And this is where it all starts to earn power that will not always we realize it immediately. It's like a seed that you have sown in the hope that, with time, she will blossom into something more. You can reach people who don't think that they exist. From that moment on, everything is a question of the impact of our actions will reverberate in the journey of someone who is on the other side of it. And this reverberation is often the case with silent, almost invisible, but the effect is real. Just as a stone thrown into a pond creates a wave that's spread out in the surrounding landscape, and our experience, our words, and our actions create these waves of change. And it is not possible to predict exactly where they're going to get. Make certain that you are making a difference is what fuels our motivation. For this reason, it is crucial to understand what each step is given, with sincerity, for each of the decision to follow what we believe to be the truth, and it has a huge weight in the process of change. It's not just to win some of it, but to understand it, to evolve. We are contributing to a larger movement and a chain that you can change someone's life in an astonishing way. And in this transformation, often in the form of subtle, almost invisible, but it is intense and long-lasting. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is a revelation to a lot of people still don't realize the essence of his own day. The connection between what we do and the impact that we produce is straightforward. There is no separation between what we have and what we can do. Each and every decision, however small it may seem to you, it carries within itself the potential to trigger a switch that can pass through the generations. And here comes the importance of having a mindset of responsibility. The consciousness of all who pass by the world, it's an extension of who we really are. This understanding leads us to reflect on how our daily actions, our choices, attitudes, and our attitude in the face of difficulties, you have the power to influence the environment around us, and, what is more, the shape of our own history, in a way that is real and meaningful. Because deep down, that it is recorded in the memory of people. It's not just the words, but the one example that we provide you the energy that you pass on the authenticity of what we carry. And it is precisely at this point that the journey of transformation to become more powerful. When we understand that we are not alone in this journey, and that each and every one of us is a piece of a big jigsaw puzzle of hope and progress, everything takes on a new meaning. The power that comes from within, fueled by the decisions that are aligned with our core values, it's a never-ending source of inspiration for those searching for their own truth and to hide it. And this, for inspiration, for its part, has the potential to create a network of change in retro alimentum, creating an impact that goes beyond our own expectations. If you think about it, everything becomes clear that the secret lies in the courage to be authentic and to share our experiences with you without fear of appearing vulnerable, because that is exactly where our true strength. And most important, we tell our stories, the more connected we are with other people who also are looking for on your path to empowerment. And in this connection, in turn, feeds into a kind of virtuous circle in which each help the other to overcome the obstacles in discovering new possibilities and make your own reality. This is the culmination of a journey of transformation, with the understanding that our actions, however small they may seem, they have an impact on you, that it can be deployed in all of the US, creating a real chain of hope and progress. And when you realize this, we can begin to appreciate every moment, every decision, every word, knowing that you're contributing in some way to change that is beyond what you can imagine. Because, at the end of the day, we are all a part of a larger story. Each one has their own unique contribution, and the contribution of is the one that really makes all the difference in making the world a more self-aware, more empathetic, more real. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me." I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that a lot of people are starting to realize the true magnitude of the impact that their actions may have. It's not just some minor changes to the surface, but from a transformation of the internal echo in addition to the individual himself, herself. It's as if every decision, every thought, and it was a seed sown in the fertile soil of the universe, and that we grow there will, in some way, that we will reap a harvest in the future. In this connection, the unseen in between, our choices, and the impact they cause in the world around us that reveals the true, hidden, on the responsibility that we have is so much greater than we can imagine. To see this point of view, the daily routine gets a whole new dimension. Each and every interaction, however small it may seem, spends the take on weight again. The intention is more conscious. For example, a smile is given, with sincerity, or a word of encouragement, which before it may go unnoticed, but now have become instruments of change. The actions are simple, but loaded with power, capable of influencing the mind of someone else, or even to reconfigure it for a whole day. And at the same time, we can begin to understand our own emotions and thoughts, too, are the elements of a great board, where each action must be done with care and purpose. As well, the impact is not only external, but also internal to shape our way of thinking, and the ways that it is often only realized after I go on a journey of self-discovery. This understanding leads us to a deeper reflection on what it means to live with authenticity. Because a lot of times, when we are so tied to the expectations of the outside, the routines, the automatic, or the social pressures that we forget to look at the inside, the truth is hidden, is that when you align with our values as the most important, we begin to act in a manner that is more consistent, more accurate. And that consistency is going to reflect on the ways in which we relate to the world, to positively influence the people around you. It's as if it's a virtuous cycle that was initiated initiated, the more aware we are of our place in the story, the more inspired we are to make choices that increase, not only to ourselves, but to the community as a whole, as a society. And there's a beauty in it, because this is a journey of transformation does not happen at one time or another. It is a process of discovery, of revelation to the internal, from the small victories in a day. With each step forward, for a more low-key as it may seem, it serves as a reminder that we are on the right track. And, at the same time, the path reveals itself in the lowest depths of our own soul, the ones that were hidden beneath the surface of what is called a routine, or a social role. We have found that, instead of just being spectators of our own history, we can become the protagonists are aware of, and responsible for each and every chapter you write. This awareness also helps us to understand that the changes are more long-lasting comes from the inside out. That's the true transformation is not just a matter of outward actions, but also a change in mindset, to a renewal of purpose. When we begin to look beyond the surface, we begin to understand the connections to the invisible, which unite us all, and to all of you. Each act of empathy and decision-making to act with integrity, contributing to the web of the impact, which eventually manifests itself into a reality that is more just, and more in tune with our deepest values. And if you notice that a network of possibilities, we become more aware of our own choices, and knowing that each and every one of them has the power to shape the world in a way that it is not always possible to imagine at the moment. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line and explain how this change in mindset can be reflected in our way of thinking about the challenges. Because quite often, the biggest challenge is not in and of itself, but our reaction to it. When we understand that everything is an opportunity for growth, we can begin to tackle the problems with a different perspective. They are no longer just for obstacles, and make the missions of learning, the moments of insight that reveals our own strengths and weaknesses. This change in perspective, it is a real eye-opener, because it allows us to transform the impact of an adverse situation in a driving force of our development. And so, each and every failure becomes an opportunity to strengthen our resilience, to reaffirm our core values, and strengthen our journey to authenticity. To understand the relationship between our daily decisions and greater impact, we have begun to understand that the real power lies in our ability to choose how to react to the situation. We are not the only victims of the situation, but the co-creators of our own destiny. This awareness gives us an unrivaled freedom to shape our own reality, to make a way to be true to our inner selves. And, in the process, and the revelations that come from the inside, a quiet interior, which speaks louder than words, and that is to guide us in the right direction. It's like an internal compass that always points to the growth, the change, for a genuine connection to what truly matters. While the story deepens, it becomes clear that we are all on a great journey of discovery, where each step is taken with the intention to aware, it becomes a seed of change. And to this day, although full of challenges, and it reveals a basic truth, that we are so much more than we think, and that we have an infinite potential to make an impact on the world in ways that have not even imagined. With this understanding, in turn, invites us to look into it with more love and care, knowing that the changes are more profound, always begins in the heart, and that is, to nurture that connection, we can awaken the power that leads us beyond the limits imposed by fear or doubt. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. If you've come this far, it's because I really connected with this conversation, and that's an accomplishment in itself." I hope that over the course of the video, you have been able to think about it a little bit more about that look at the most loving and attentive to the inside of the other. After all, they understand that the more profound changes begin in the heart. It is an important first step to transforming your relationship with life and with each other. If this content made sense to you, leave a comment saying, "I'm with you till the end," or any phrase that shows that the message has touched the bottom. Thus, we are able to create a connection that's even more true here in the comments. Oh, and if you like what you heard, and which one you like the video, it's a natural way to show that the meeting was useful and that you want the return. Also, keep in mind that it's here on the channel. There are many other videos that may help you to go even more in this area. There's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject. You can click and keeps me there, because that's the journey of self-discovery is ongoing and full of discovery. Thank you for being with me until the very end. Your presence and attention will make all the difference. I hope that the content can be inspired to follow and cultivate a connection with you, always with a lightness and a natural look. Until the next video, and remember, every step you take, however small it may seem, it is in a state of evolution.